Chapter 57. 10 months later. Powwows are not ceremonies, and yet there is something restorative about the gathering of our community, the collective spirit of our tribal nation coming together, sharing songs and fellowship with others. It's our annual powwow, the third weekend in August, and my community needs healing now more than ever. The recent tribal election included a banishment referendum, heatedly debated during community meetings. Members told heart-wrenching stories of loved ones lost to drugs, pleading with tribal council to do something. Others claimed that the referendum would lead to selective banishments to punish the families of political rivals. Fingers were pointed, and leaders told to wash your own dirty asses before telling us what stinks. Last week, my first time voting in a tribal election, the referendum narrowly passed. The day after the election results, a group of members began circulating a petition to recall the tribal council members who voiced support for the banishment referendum. Now, any tribal member convicted of a felony drug crime in any court is subject to a banishment hearing. The length of the banishment, up to 5 years, depends on the severity of the crime and whether the individual is in recovery. The intent is to rid the reservation of dealers while showing compassion to members who are struggling with addiction. Banished individuals are still enrolled citizens, but are barred from tribal land and ineligible for any tribal programs, services, or benefits. This includes per capita payments. Former tribal judge Dana Firekeeper will be the first person to appear at a banishment hearing. She pled guilty in federal court to a single felony count of obstruction of justice in exchange for no prison time. In tribal court last week, she was found guilty of 10 counts of dereliction of duty for every meth-related mistrial she presided over. She was fined the maximum $5,000 amount for every count but received no jail time. Some think she got off too easy. Others say Dana is being made an example because people enjoy when powerful women are torn down. On Friday evening of powwow weekend, I pick up Granny June and we head to Sugar Island. When we arrive at Auntie and Art's place, dozens of cars are parked in their front yard. I help Granny from the Jeep and we walk to the clearing overlooking the north channel of the St. Mary's River. I'm surprised to see over 100 women sitting around the fire in concentric circles. Art is nowhere in sight. My aunt motions for us to join her in the innermost circle. We must be the last to arrive, because Auntie welcomes everyone as soon as we sit down. There was a Nishkwezan who collected pansies with her Nokomis all summer long. Each evening, she helped separate the flowers by color. She knew the brightest colors would be used to dye the strips of black ash for weaving baskets. Others were for medicines. Her Nokomis put all the yellow pansies in one pile. "What are the yellow ones for?" she asked. Nokomis wouldn't say. Each summer, she collected pansies with her Nokomis, who never told her what the yellow pansies were for. The Kwezon became a Kwe, and still helped her Nokomis each summer. One day, she said nothing as she collected pansies. When her Nokomis asked what was wrong, she didn't know how to tell her grandmother that a man had hurt her. She only shrugged. For the rest of the summer, she and her Nokomis collected pansies in silence. At the end of the summer, her grandmother took her into the woods one evening. They were joined by other women, who sat in a circle. She watched as her grandmother's black ash basket was passed around the circle, and each woman or girl present took a single yellow pansy. When the basket was in her lap, she took one pansy for herself. One by one, each person came to the fire and said a prayer before offering the pansy. Some said their prayers aloud, others mouthed silent prayers, and others released their prayers through tears. When it was her turn to pray, she understood what the yellow pansies were for. She said a silent prayer and released her pain. The pansy offerings and their prayers were carried in the smoke to Creator and to Grandmother Moon. As my aunt tells the story, a large basket is passed around the inner circle. I take a yellow pansy and pass the basket to Auntie. I watch as women approach the fire, each one offering a pansy. As I release the pansy, I think about what Grant Edwards did to me and say my silent prayer. There's comfort in watching the smoke rise to the full moon. When I return to my seat, Granny June holds my hand. Lilybon was thankful each year that you weren't here, she says. Wait, she was here? My heart breaks. Yes, my girl, ever since she came to live with me. I cry for my best friend and the secrets she wanted to protect me from. On the ferry back to the mainland, I realize that Macy wasn't at the fire. Relief washes over me. Macy wasn't there. When Granny and I do our usual Sema offering midway across the St. Mary's River, I say a silent prayer of profound gratitude for all the Nish Kwezunwug and Kwewug who weren't at the fire tonight. Chi miigwech. I spend all of Saturday afternoon walking around the vendor stands, catching up with cousins, elders, former classmates, and teammates. A few people pry for details about Levi. My response? Nothing. I gave Auntie a pouch of Sema and asked her to keep me updated on Levi's case. She doesn't tell me her sources, but I think she stays in contact with Ron. Levi was deemed a flight risk, even with a busted leg. He remains detained without bond until his trial to begin in the fall. My brother has refused any plea offerings, but he may change his mind now that the federal prosecution has its star witness. I am not the star witness. I haven't stepped foot in a courtroom or any law enforcement office since the day I signed my CI agreement. Senior field agent Ron Cornell has protected my identity so far. I've had no contact with Levi. He may have tried to reach out, but I suspect that Auntie and my mother intercept any messages from him. I know that if I ask Auntie, she will tell me the truth. For now, I am fine with not asking. Neither is it Stormy Noden, who has still not uttered a single word in English. Ron's prediction of what would happen once Stormy turned 18 was spot on. Stormy remains silent before a grand jury and at a hearing in front of a federal judge. Held in contempt of court, he sits in jail. According to Auntie, when Stormy's parents visit him, they all speak Anishinaabe-Moan. His parents are there every visiting day. They moved to a town near the federal detention center where their son is being held. His father parks outside the facility and drums each night. Nor is it Michael Edwards, who is still at large. There are rumors he is playing hockey for a Swedish pro league under a different name. His parents divorced. Helene moved downstate. Grant still lives in their house. Auntie drove past one night and said the house was dark, except for a Sioux High hockey game playing on the giant plasma screen. My nightmares began when Robert LaFleur accepted a plea deal to be the star witness against Levi. It's the same bad dream each time. I jerk the steering wheel of Coach's BMW and nothing happens. Levi grips my bruised shoulder as the tribal police car passes by. I scream in pain. TJ never sees me. They drive me to a modular home in the middle of nowhere. I wake up as Mike describes in precise detail what he will do to Jamie if I don't cook meth for them. On those nights, I light a braid of wingoshk and inhale the sweet smoke. Then I put on my dad's choker and pray for Debwewin. To know truth is to accept what cannot be known. On Sunday, I start my day with a prayer for Zagadewin, love. Today is the official end of my traditional one-year mourning period for Lily. I will dance at a powwow for the first time since Uncle David died almost a year and a half ago. I offer Sema and give thanks for all my loved ones, those in this world and the next. When it's time to get ready for grand entry, my nieces and I sit on the picnic table outside while I braid their hair. I asked Teddy for this time to tell the girls about my college plans. My fingers move quickly through Pauline's hair to get it out of her face so she will be less likely to chew on it. I have some news to tell yous, I say to the back of Pauline's head. I'm leaving in a few weeks for Hawaii. You're going away again? Perry asks from beside me. She's frowning, and I imagine her sister's face has the same expression. The University of Hawaii at Manoa has a great ethnobotany program. That's the study of how people all over the world use plants as medicines. It's got biology and chemistry, but something else too. They look at things with indigenous eyes. And every summer, I'm coming back to do an internship with Sini Nimki. When I graduate from college, I'll be her apprentice at the traditional medicine program. I can't stop smiling. I know what I want to be, what I am, a traditional medicine practitioner and scientist. A traditional scientist? Perry asks. My smile grows beyond my face. It reaches my fingers and toes. Yeah, that sounds exactly right, I tell her. I peck a kiss on Pauline's head to let her know I'm done with her hair. Yous are going to visit over Thanksgiving. I'll know my way around by then. Can we go to museums? Pauline turns around, trembling with excitement. She loses herself in museums, absorbing every detail of each exhibit. Museums are boring, Perry says, shoving her sister aside to sit in front of my braiding fingers. I want to go surfing. We'll try different things every day. I spray Perry's head with the setting gel and use a rat tail comb to divide her thick, dark hair into sections. Is college like a boarding school? Pauline asks, sitting next to me on the picnic table. I guess so. I mean, you sleep in dorms and there are dining halls. Why? Auntie, did you know there were boarding schools for Anishinaabe? Pauline asks, over-enunciating parts of the Anishinaabe words in her eagerness to pronounce them correctly. And the government took kids even when moms and dads said no. Her bottom lip trembles. They didn't give kids back like they promised. She looks up at me, wide-eyed with doe-eyed sorrow. They got punished if they didn't follow the school rules. Will that happen to you? Before I can respond, Perry turns to me, her eyes narrow in outrage. Kids couldn't speak Anishinaabe, Moen, and they couldn't go to ceremonies. Perry points defiantly at her own chest as she declares, in Da Anishinaabe. Auntie and Art must have decided they were old enough for the talk. I'm overcome with a mixture of emotions. Sad that their innocent eyes are open to the trauma that still impacts our community today. Angry, they must learn these truths in order to be strong Anishinaabe in a world where Indians are thought of only in the past tense. Proud that they, smart, sturdy, and loved, are the greatest wish our ancestors had, for our nation to survive and flourish. College isn't like boarding school in those ways. I take the classes I want. I don't have to stay if I don't want to or if I don't feel safe. I promise I'll come home every summer. I add, it's good to know our tribal history and what our ancestors went through. It's important to know the truth, even when it makes us feel sad. It's good no one is keeping you from ceremonies. I hug Perry from behind. And yes, my girl, you do speak our language. When I finish Perry's hair, both girls stand atop the picnic table. They trill perfect leelies as they jump off and run to the RV where their mother waits to dress them for grand entry. I'm wearing the shorts and t-shirt I'll keep on underneath my regalia to help absorb my sweat. I put on my red dress. The top half is plain material, and the skirt has 7 rows of gold cone jingles. There are 365 cones. One for each day of the year Auntie spent teaching me about being a strong Nishkawe when I was 14. Grandma Pearl's thick leather belt gives shape to the dress, and I attach the flat beaded bag Teddy gifted me at my berry feast. I lay the black velvet yoke over my shoulders. This summer, Eva beaded it, adding a lei of yellow pansies with purple faces. My final touches are my dad's bone choker, the blueberry earrings from my mother, and the beaded strawberry bracelet that Jamie gave me. Auntie helps me attach an eagle plume to the back of my head, rising between my 2 long braids. I look in the mirror and apply Grandmary's red lipstick before tucking the gold tube into the high pocket. I am ready. Art is snapping pictures of the twins when I emerge from the RV. He calls me over and I pose with them. Then I ask him to take a picture of me with the powwow in the background. While Art adjusts his camera lens, I think about the envelope that came in the mail yesterday morning. There was no return address, and it was postmarked Milwaukee. Inside were 2 postcards. The first had a picture of a lake in Minnesota. On the back, someone had written one sentence: "The kids are all right." The second postcard was of a stately brick building labeled College of Law, University of Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin. On the back was one word: someday. "Now that's a great picture," Art says. We walk into the arena for grand entry. My dance steps are simple. The circle is filled with rows of dancers, no room for big spins or intricate steps. I need to conserve my energy if I'm going to last all day. My dancing muscles have been dormant for a year and a half. When the drum hits the honor beats of the song, I raise my feather fan in the air. I lead the twins, and Auntie follows behind us. When I glance back, my aunt smiles through happy tears. "Nishin, it is good." In the late afternoon, the MC announces one final special before the contest winners are named for each dance style and age category. Those jingle dancers who are wearing red regalia are invited to dance. As I make my way to the arena, he tells the story of the jingle dress. "A girl was sick, and her father feared she would not recover. He sought a vision, and it came to him. A dress for her, with rows of jingles made from tin cones that clinked melodically when she danced. The more she danced, the more she healed. Once she was all better, she continued to dance to heal others in her community. The jingle dance represents healing, and the red dress symbolizes our women. So today's red dress jingle dance special is for all the Anishinaabe Kwawag and Kwezanwag, Indigenous women and girls who are murdered or missing. Their spirits taken too soon, lives cut short. For each one, Mikwe da Goze, she is remembered." Everyone rises as 7 of us enter the arena. We range in age from around 5 to 50 years old. Each picks a spot around the dance arena. I find the section on the northern side where Mom, Granny June, Sini, Auntie, Art, and the twins are standing. My mother smiles. She is proud of me, excited for my adventure, ready to let me go. Understands, at last, that letting me go is not the same as losing me. As Granny June waves, her words echo from when I told her about my plans to go away to college. "My girl, some boats are made for the river and some for the ocean. And there are some that can go anywhere because they always know the way home." When Sini invited me to become her apprentice, I told her about the ethnobotany program in Hawaii. I gifted her with Sema and asked if it was possible to study both ways. She said, "We Anishinaabe are not stagnant. We have always adapted to survive." I take in a panoramic view of my community. Minnie, Leonard, Johnsy, TJ, and Olivia, Macy. The entire dance arena falls completely silent before the host drum begins the honor song. Every songbird gathers around the drummers to add their voice. As I dance, I pray for Lily, for Robin, for Heather, and even for myself, for all the girls and women pushed into the abyss of expendability and invisibility. It doesn't matter that my steps are clumsy and heavy. In my mind, my feet move with lightness and speed. I am in the zone, between this world and the next. I am not dancing in step with the drum beats. It is the opposite. The drum beats are coming from inside my heart. Buju, anin gichimani du. Misqua makwakwe indigenakas, makwa indodam, baweting indonjiba. Gijimani du, nadama wijinam, ji mashka wiziyang, minawa nadamawa, ikwewag, ji gana wendagi goziwad, gichi ayawag, ji minawa nie goziwad, gaye, Ane Jeninisag, Ji Inambad da Mamawad, Anishinaabe among. Greetings, Creator. I am Red Bear Woman, Bear Clan, from the place of the rapids. Keep our community strong, our women safe, our men whole, our elders laughing, and our children dreaming in the language. Thank you very much for this good life. When the song ends, I stand at the eastern door, where all journeys begin. Aho! That is all. We hope you've enjoyed this production of Firekeeper's Daughter, a Macmillan audio production for Holt Books for Young Readers.